Very much. So, would anyone like to get the ball rolling? First question. Yeah, Leisha.
I was wondering, like, when you're applying for a job, the employers, are they looking for, like, you just have an undergrad, or is it, like, rather you have an undergrad and a master's to go along with it? Like, is it okay to go straight into work without having a master's?
Yeah, it is, yeah. And I mean, we, just speaking for ourselves, we have a higher education policy, so we've put, in the last 5 years, I'd say we've put through 10, 11 maybe people through the Masters in Coleraine by distance learning. And we do ask that there is a sort of reciprocation in the fact that you work for a little bit longer, and the calculation is too complex for me now, but there is a way we would pay the fees, and if you leave before a certain sort of a time period or threshold, then you'd have to reimburse them. But otherwise, so I think there's a win-win there, and we can industry can be flexible that way, and we need strong we need strong skill sets. We need undergraduates coming through. We need recent graduates coming through. Yeah, we need experienced staff. But what's tended to happen over the last 5 to 6 years is because of the Celtic Tiger, the change, the slump, that more people are reticent about changing at a certain level. So we haven't had seniors moving for a long time. So from a career progression point of view, it can be difficult enough. And the same is true of the public service as well. There's been the moratorium has lifted, by the way, in case anybody hasn't heard, but the staffing moratorium in the HSE is gone now. So it was there for the last 4 or 5 years. So you're going to see a lot more advertisements, because between last year, the year before, and actually August of next year, there's a huge amount of retirements happening at a level within the lab side of things. So there's good opportunities on the hospital side.
Mm-hmm. You might also notice when you do start applying, in the experience that they want, or in the qualification section, sometimes they'll say 1 to 2 years experience with the masters, or 3 to 4 years with the degree. So sometimes they kind of balance.
Yeah.
They'll look at your experience and your qualifications.
Yeah, and again, it depends on the organisation that you're going into and stuff. So if we want fully fledged biomedical scientists, if you like, if you're going to industry, you may be moving into a different area where they may want some other competencies as well. Maybe a master's in quality, or black belt training in Lean Six Sigma, etc. So
We'll take another one. Yeah, Bridget. Yeah.
Just for those that done the masters kind of straight after college, was there an option there, for you to work while doing it? Instead of just doing full time, like how long would have been added on if you should have been working at the same time, or could you still work at the same time? Or
for us, is it?
for the,
Maybe Danielle, you might take that, or somebody's doing that.
Well, it's 2 years part-time or 1 year full-time, but you can defer modules and stuff if you're having problems at work, but you do need a job for the project side of it, somewhere to do your project. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, you need to be kind of in hospital already, and they have to okay you doing the masters, and they have to okay your project as well. So it'll slow down the process, because you can't just start straight to a job and say, right, I'm doing the masters now. So it'll delay it all a bit.
Anyone else? Tom?
Hi. If you're interested in the masters in research, is there any chance that the company can help you with it, or is it all you have to do by yourself, find the sources, and just how would you approach the masters in research? How to find it, where to do it, and that kind of thing?
Well, I know in University of Ulster they have funded MRes, in that there's a certain amount of modules that you take, like research modules, and then for half the time as well you'd be in the lab doing your research project and writing up that. But sometimes they can be funded MRes research projects for.
I suppose just to highlight too, Tom, that there are other colleges, third level institutes that you can approach as well if you're interested in doing masters. Yeah.
But it'll be all on their websites, like.
And beyond the websites, yeah. Anyone else? Yeah, Stephen. Yeah.
Yeah, this question is directed towards Danielle.
Danielle. Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
In regards to your project on DNA methylation, how much time did you spend on it, and when did you start it in the first place?
We started once we got confirmation that we'd passed semester 2. So I started mine in July, and it's meant to be 8 weeks. I was allowed a little bit extra time, so I had a few kind of problems along the way, but it's meant to run for 8 weeks from July and August.
Yeah, anyone else? Either our first years or fourth years? Yeah, Evan?
Is there any other accredited courses, masters by the AMLS?
The DIT one is accredited with the AMLS and the IBMS as well. I think the CIT one is only accredited with the AMLS.
And how do you apply for the Coleraine one? Is it just...
I applied for the Coleraine one when I was on placement. I was asking the people on placement, you know, what had they done, because I'd already knew that I was going to do masters, and I'd asked them, and they had all done the Coleraine one. So that's kind of how I got in there, and I think also the price of the Coleraine one was a lot cheaper than the DIT and CIT ones.
And did you have to ring them, or how did you
You can apply online. You just it's like an online form. You just fill it all in.
And do you have to have your own project, or would you have
I did the taught masters, so you don't have to. When you start there, they give you a list of 14 projects, and you pick kind of which one you like to do, and you approach the supervisor and apply for it. I had to do an interview for my project, which you don't have to do for most of them, but it could be you and another student going for the one project. But they're already there for you, just need to pick.
Eleanor?
Can I just make a point, just related to that, about, you asked about an accredited master's. From the AMLS point of view, they're actually becoming more open about what kind of masters they will accept in terms of if you want to become a fellow of the AMLS and so on. So I don't think I would be limited. If there was a master's I really wanted to do, I don't think I'd limit myself to just looking at AMLS or IBMS accredited.
So you could still go on and do like work in a lab if you didn't do a master's in something that's accredited.
You could, but I would be careful about the choice. Be careful in terms of how do you see your career developing. Do you want to stay in the HSE system, and do you want a fellowship? And while the AMLS accredited ones are important for ensuring that you will get a fellowship if you've done that master's, they are opening up membership to clinical scientists as well. So there would be other master's qualifications that will be recognised in the future.
And just to mention the fellowship, the reason why you might want that is for progression within the HSE. So to be eligible for a senior position, you need to have the fellowship.
Mary, just to even try to add to that again, I mean, for people who really want to look at progressing, there have been crossovers. So people who have done the masters, for example, you know, like Caroline, for example, done the masters in Coleraine, have moved on to do the MRC path, and you're working at a more consultant-led level, if you like, because you can then go on and do your fellowship exams. So it's not just stop here and you can't go any further within the hospital hierarchy, if you know what I mean. Your expertise can keep going.
Yeah, is there Keely, is it? Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. Anyone else?
Definitely. When do you think that you should start applying for an industry job if you're in fourth year? Like, you have to wait until you have your exam results?
Actually, a girl who worked with me in Baxter literally came in, and I think she got her results that week that she started. So she just, as soon as she finished, started applying, and it was just the right time. You'll find a lot of the time when you are applying, you're just in the right place at the right time, or you're not. So once you finish, I'd start. Even, I mean, if there's anything around just before you start your exams, you could start applying then.
Would there be any graduate programs that you could start, like, apply for now?
Yeah, some industry will. I couldn't give you an example. I think Baxter do a graduate program. Boston Scientific take a lot of co-op students. So during the summer, I'm sure School of Science would have information on it, because I know we take quite a few from GMIT. So you can come in and work for the summer, and then obviously with the view to progress and stay there. So there's lots of options to get your foot in the door, definitely.
Anyone else? No, don't be afraid to ask. Can I just ask Aideen, maybe, as a medical scientist in Castlebar General Hospital, you get lots of opportunity, Aideen, to explore newer technologies or to get involved in continued professional development. And
it's constant, really, especially in the biochemistry lab.
Yes.
It'd be a good choice for people that are interested in computers, analyzers. We're so dependent on our computer systems, which are great when everything's up and running, but then if they crash, that's when you know, your problem solving comes into play, trying to figure out how do we get this up and running, how do we get the results out again. There's just always new technologies, even, you know, track systems, joining up analyzers, pre and post analytical help, and it's it's constantly changing. So it's an interesting
do you
one if
find
you're
it
into.
stimulating
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
get lots of job
Yeah.
satisfaction?
And I have to say, clinical chemistry wasn't my strongest point in college, but when you're out there, then it's just so different once you're out in the working world, and especially when you're on the validation rota, when you're letting out results. If you're sitting at a computer looking at numbers all day, it really does help if you have the knowledge there and you know why a patient with a certain disease has a certain profile of results, and it just makes things interesting for yourself. And you do get lots of calls as well, you know, from doctors, GPs, nurses looking for advice. Like I had a pharmacist the last day phone me. She was doing a case study on drug interactions, and she wanted to know, well, what kind of results will I put into the case study. So kind of got me on the hop there. But, or even like doctors, some of them don't even understand hemolysis. They're like, why it wasn't hemolyzed when I sent it over to you? I wanted to do to it. So, you know, you do need to know your stuff.
Yeah.
So
I just asked Brian as well, you did a PhD and you're just newly qualified, so well done, Dr. Moore. So could you have gone directly from your BSc here into a PhD, or I know you took obviously the MSc route first.
Yeah, no, you could have. There was people in my, I'd say, year, there was, I think, 6 of us done a diabetes PhD the year I started, and there was quite a few of them actually just had the degree. 2-1 is the entry requirement, but you know, anything better will put you ahead of the rest, you know, and that sort of.
And were the skills that you obtained here at BSc level sufficient for you to?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely. Like petting again, as statistics and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Seriously, it's important.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
I may regret asking this, given that my students are sitting behind me. You've mentioned statistics, a few of you. Sorry, Bob. In what way has it been important to your careers for each of the ones that have come from Galway? Because you've all been tortured with statistics, and I know that. And I'm currently torturing mine. And I want to know, what more should we be doing?
We start there,
and has it been useful?
Michelle, do you want to take that first from the industry point of view? Yeah, and Beckman.
Starting off with statistics, your final year project, it's a great help when you're looking at statistics. Like, I used it a lot, and when I was doing it at the time, what do I need this for? And then I was going back looking for help in 4th year, going, I should pay more attention. Like, I did need it. Like, there's a lot of graphs and things in work, so you'd be using statistics for a lot of the graph work. Like, it's not Minitab, you use Excel a lot. I know that's the thing a lot of people in industry are saying, like a lot of people would have done Minitab in college and they're saying, well, it might be good to look at Excel because that's what people are using in the workplace, so that would be handy, alright. It's used every day in industry anyway.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to take that? Yeah, Danielle?
I'll get away with it.
Yeah, for the 4th year project I would definitely use stats, but in the masters as well, again we used Excel because we were using it with graphs alongside and doing error bars, but we were using it to compare the changes that we had made with the cell reverted back to the wild type and see if anything is statistically significant, or comparing the UHR of 1 to GNM21. We would have done it using Excel as well.
For the PhD we used a software called GraphPad Prism, and to be honest, when I opened it up first I was like, what is this? I couldn't even fathom how to use it. Like, I thought it was the hardest thing ever. But I think with that sort of software the best thing to do is just go on and practice on it.
Play with it.
Yeah, play with it, exactly. Whether it was t-test one way ANOVA, one-tailed, two-tailed, I got myself in awful predicaments. Late at night. Yeah. So yeah, just that sort of software, you just need to get to know how to use it, and once you do, then you're laughing, like it's great. Okay.
Well, we use it every day in the lab in relation to our quality control. All our tests, they all have graphs of their standard deviations, and if things fail outside 2 SDs or 3 SDs, they do need to be repeated and calibrated and brought back down. That is quite important. We had an INAB inspection a couple of weeks ago, and this year there was a big emphasis on quality control. So one of our senior scientists are always looking at the trends if something is starting to drift, getting percentage CVs, and making sure everything is tight and within its limits, and it is important.
And is it Minitab or Excel?
Oh,
or what is it?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm sorry. I think it's Excel. Yeah.
Yeah, we would use Excel all day, every day, keep track. We've databases for everything. Minitab, if you have Minitab, you're definitely at a benefit. I'm starting my Green Belt training in the new year, and as that has a lot to do with process improvement, engineering modules. So Minitab is a huge part for that, because everybody, when you go to a high level meeting with managers or directors, they don't want to hear words, they want to see graphs. And if you can show it on a box plot or a nice picture to, explain it very clearly, that's great, and that's how you use Minitab for that. So it's very important.
Appreciate that.
Thank you, Trish, for that. Any final question for anyone in our panel?
Yeah.
Valerie.
This question is directed at Brian. What influenced you to choose to do your PhD in the area of diabetes? And did you have this project in mind while doing your masters?
It was Mary McGrath. She puts that question on every year.
Okay, Brian, it's over to you.
No, it was through the masters I had always an interest in diabetes and diabetes research. So I said I met with a few of the lecturers or supervisors that had projects up, and I met with Anya McKillop, my supervisor, and she had one on DPP4 enzyme, and I thought that was interesting. So I went in and I done the master's project with her, but it's changed. It keeps changing the research. Like I started on DPP4, and then I was doing a bit of work on C-peptide when I started first, and then I moved on to G-protein coupled receptors. So I think, okay, yes, you need to be interested in the area, but the actual project, I don't think is of utmost importance. It's because you're going to be using the same techniques, really, that the lab uses and that. So the actual project is important. I think the area, yes, you need to be, definitely, if that helps, does it? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'd just like to extend a big warm thank you on behalf of the students here and the staff to all our speakers here tonight. So to Michelle and to Danielle, John, Brian, Stephanie and Aidan, just let everybody give them a big maybe.